What is going on, you beautiful bastards? Welcome to the channel. This is officially my first video on my new YouTube page here. Thank you for somehow finding this video. I guess I should quickly give a brief introduction to what this channel is going to be real quick, and then we can get on with the video. I want to have a centralized location where I can put all of my thoughts within video games, have like 2, 3, 20, 30-minute videos each week where I'm breaking down the latest news, talking about that with you guys, talking about the latest games that I'm playing, or, you know, old games that I'm playing for the first time or replaying or whatever the case may be, and just, you know, little segments where we're talking about lists and top 10 this or top 10 that. I just want to have a show, a weekly, or hopefully multiple times a week, a show where I'm just discussing and rambling about whatever topics I have floating around in my head regarding, you know, video games and the games industry. I often hear gamers saying things like, you know, they miss the days of video games coverage where the coverage was actually pertaining to the games and to the games industry. And I don't know, I just hope to provide that here to you know, obviously it's going to have a personalized touch with it being me independently running this channel by myself, but I like talking about actual video games. You know, I don't really want to push any bias down your throat. I don't want to spout out any weird console war bullshit. I don't have any corporate ties or ties to anyone that's going to nefariously influence what I'm saying here to you guys. It's just one dude rambling about his passion, which for me happens to be video games. So if any of that sounds appealing to you whatsoever, and you enjoy the content after you get finished watching the video, consider subscribing. And if you like the video, like the video. So I feel like the best way to really get into the show and give you guys an idea for what the show is going to be is just to kick the damn thing off and get it rolling. I have a few news stories here that I want to ramble about with you today. And let's start it off with this one that broke today, actually. The rumors of this broke today. I saw it on Twitter, and it made me, it began kind of, my brain just started rolling and thinking about the different things that could pop up at this THQ Nordic Showcase on August 12th. But the rumor is that Alone in the Dark is going to be making a comeback, and it's going to be getting revealed at this showcase on August 12th. And Alone in the Dark is like the real OG of survival horror. It's the trailblazer. You know, it's the game that kicked off this entire genre. And I know that THQ acquired Alone in the Dark from Atari a few years back. They acquired the, you know, the IP. So I'm assuming they definitely want to do something with that license. But when you look at like Alone in the Dark, the last game that released on the 360, and it was met with fairly, I would say, unanimous. I don't know. I'm sure there are people out there who enjoyed it, but generally the reception to that game wasn't all that positive. And I think it would just be cool to see, even if we only got one more Alone in the Dark game ever, it would just be cool to see this trailblazer, this genre creating game come back and get like a proper send-off before it just floats away into the ether. And THQ Nordic, you know, obviously owned by Embracer, but they have so many development teams under their belt. And I don't know who they would have specifically working on Alone in the Dark, because I don't believe they really have anyone who specializes in survival horror as far as I'm aware. But like I said, you know, they could merge some talent just under the different Embracer umbrellas and have someone work alongside THQ Nordic. They've done a bunch of different deals like that and developed a bunch of different games like that in the past. But I'm really curious to see who they get to work on this game, and I really do hope this rumor is true. This is just one that I think could be a feel-good story where we see a game that is real. To me personally, I'm such a huge survival horror fan, with Resident Evil being my favorite video game franchise of all time, and you know, Resident Evil 2 being my favorite game of all time, and like the direct influence there that Alone in the Dark had on Resident Evil. I would just like to see Alone in the Dark come back in some big way have one good solid send-off game, or, continue on with this brand new franchise, because right now we're seeing with the survival horror market, Resident Evil has pretty much just performed a stranglehold on that entire market. I know where we're getting Dead Space coming back, Callisto Protocol dropping later this year, and rumors of Silent Hill with Bloober, and like there are these different rumors and new games coming out in the survival horror genre, but for a long time, Resident Evil has really just capitalized on a barren market. And so any additional competition to the survival horror market, I would welcome with open arms. We're probably not seeing anything from The Evil Within for a while. I know the rumor is that Ghostwire Tokyo was initially going to be The Evil Within 3, and then they kind of scrapped that idea and made it its brand new standalone game. So I don't know if we're going to see The Evil Within 3 ever. I hope so, because I think The Evil Within 2 is one of the best survival horror games ever made. But yeah, I guess all that to say is I want to see Alone in the Dark come back, man. I really do. I think that would just be a real feel-good story if it comes back and is, decent, at least. But like I was talking about, man, THQ Nordic, they manage a ton of different video game developmental teams. And like the people who made Remnant from the Ashes and Chronos Before the Ashes, the last game that they made, which the name of the studio is Gunfire, the last game they put out was that Chronos Before the Ashes game, which was released in 2020. So you would have to assume it's probably time to see something new from them. I know Remnant from the Ashes was beloved by fans, and I actually really, really enjoyed Chronos Before the Ashes. I haven't played Remnant just yet, but I loved Chronos Before the Ashes. So I like that team, and I think that what they're doing there with that kind of, with Remnant, it was more of a Souls-inspired game, but with guns. And with Chronos, it kind of felt like a Zelda Souls fuse with like even some weird, I'm like I said, huge Resident Evil fan, so I'll be referencing Resident Evil a ton, but there was even some kind of Resident Evil-esque puzzle solving that you would encounter in Chronos Before the Ashes, like where you're, going around trying to find different keys for different doors and shit, and this sort of isolating feeling that game had. But yeah, you would think that with what they're doing there, that kind of Souls blending into different styles of genre and different styles of gameplay, maybe their next game could fuse some sort of Souls with guns or Zelda Souls-like into a brand new, more action-packed Souls experience or something. I don't know. I think that studio is doing some cool shit, though, and with their last game being released 2 years ago, you would think that we maybe could see something brand new from them. We have Black Forest Games, who are developing the Destroy All Humans remasters with, Destroy All Humans 1 that came out, I think, 2020 as well? And Destroy All Humans 2, which is releasing this month. And you have to assume we're going to see Destroy All Humans 2 displayed prominently at this showcase, and we'll get more of a gameplay, more look at the gameplay, a deeper dive into, the mechanics, and maybe have like a full gameplay segment where you're seeing a full level played out or something like that. I really enjoyed Destroy All Humans as a kid. I haven't played the remaster yet. That's one I'll probably wait for a sale on, maybe Destroy All Humans 1 and 2, play them back to back or something like that. But I've always loved that concept, and just, I remember when Destroy All Humans 1, when the reveal popped back up and it had that damn Rammstein song for the reveal, or for the announcement reveal for Destroy All Humans 1 coming back. I just thought that was so damn cool, and how that song kind of synced with what was going on in that reveal trailer. I loved how that was announced. But yeah, we have Piranha Bytes, who was the developers for the Elix games and the Gothic games, and I actually enjoyed Elix 2 for what it was. A little bit janky, a little bit rough around the edges, but with Elix 2 releasing this year, I doubt we'll see Piranha Bytes popping up at this showcase, or at least I would assume we're not going to see them popping up at the showcase. They also own Rainbow Studios, who is more known for like their off-road racing games such as ATV Off-Road Fury back in the PlayStation 2 days, and now with their recently released MX vs. ATV Legends, which, like I said, it released this year, so we're probably going to be seeing some DLC or something like that for the MX vs. ATV Legends game, or at least just some form of marketing and trying to get whatever sort of hype they can get behind that game back out there. But THQ Nordic is also publishing that new AEW game, and I'm very much looking forward to checking that game out. I look forward to diving into a wrestling game that's not focused on photorealism, and it's more just focused on giving you a tight gameplay experience that harkens back to that Aki Engine, N64, No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000 style of gameplay experience. Because, I don't know, for me, wrestling games, it seemed like the more visually impressive wrestling games got, the less impactful or the less memorable those experiences really were. And it seemed like the more focused we got on visuals with those games, especially, the less focus there was on gameplay. And I think gameplay really makes or breaks these wrestling style experiences. And with Yuke's being the developer for this AEW game, who is, a long time WWE game developer, and pretty much the majority of all the greatest WWE games ever released were developed under the Yuke's umbrella, which, I'm not going to lie, there were some stinkers developed under the Yuke's umbrella, but that pedigree is there 100% for developing great wrestling titles. So, the rumor is, and I think this might even be confirmed, I'll have to check, but we're supposed to be seeing this AEW game pop up at this showcase, and I know this thing has been in the cooker for a long ass time, so I'm just wondering, are we going to see a release date for this thing? Is it releasing anytime soon? What style of career mode are we going to be getting here? What's going on with the weird damn mini games, the baseball home run derby mini games, the kind of funky dancing looking shit? Like, there's so much with that little, because we've had some leaks and we've saw some character images, we saw some leaked gameplay images. I'm just so curious about how they're going to fuse all of this together. Is it going to be just a total batshit style of experience where the career mode has really no importance or no no real storyline, and it's just all kind of fun, ridiculous shenanigans that you're getting up to, and in some tournament style fashion where you're going off and battling in these mini games while also having a race to the title or some kind of tie like that to give you a meaningful progression as the player. But I'm curious to see how exactly they end up working all of this out. But I do love that just centralized focus on getting a Nintendo 64 era feel to the gameplay and to the movement with this AEW Fight for, what is it? Fight Forever? Fight for Forever? What the hell is the name of the damn game? Yeah, AEW Fight Forever. Had a brain fart there. Had to look it up. But very curious to see what pops up there with AEW Fight for Forever. Jesus Christ, AEW Fight Forever. And we know that Free Radicals reformed, banded back together, and are creating Time Splitters. And it's been a little bit since we have heard anything about this remake for Time Splitters. So, that could have the potential of popping up at this showcase as well. I mean, just if we got, Alone in the Dark, something new from Gunfire, like a new From the Ashes style of game, if we got a more, which I'm pretty positive we will, get a deeper look at Destroy All Humans 2 and see the AEW game in a longer form, like a 5-minute sort of gameplay trailer, and then possibly get hit with the end of the showcase, we see something on Time Splitters 2. I mean, that's a damn solid showcase. And last year's showcase was only 35 minutes long, so I mean, just with the games we kind of rattled off there, I feel like that could easily cover 25-30 minutes and have a few surprises splashed in. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what we get here. And staying on topic of showcases here, this is just a rumor, nothing confirmed as of recording this, but PlayStation is rumored to be having a showcase sometime this month in August. And yeah, you would fucking think so. I have no idea what's going on in the PlayStation ecosystem other than, which I mean, you know, to be fair, I guess you kind of do. You have The Last of Us coming out in September. You have God of War Ragnarok coming out in November. So, I mean, you do have an idea for at least the rest of 2022. But beyond that, it's a lot of question marks. And, I mean, you have Forspoken that's launching in January. It got out of the way so God of War could have its shine time. But, yeah, for like 2023 and beyond, which this, I think, would be the main focus of a new showcase. Or at least I would hope so. I would hope that... Because I think everybody has their opinion made up on The Last of Us and God of War. Maybe a little bit more details on God of War, but with The Last of Us, and maybe I'm projecting here, but I don't have any damn interest in playing a Last of Us remake. I love The Last of Us 1. I think it's maybe the greatest video game story ever told. But, like, I'm cool with the PS4 version. You know, I would recommend, if you want to play the game, go buy the damn PS4 version for $10. It's a great remaster, but... and I think kind of the same thing is true with God of War. Like, I'm absolutely day one purchasing God of War Ragnarok. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Absolutely there, day one for that game. But for for 2023 and beyond, outside of Forspoken, like, we know Spider-Man 2 is we're going to see that at some point, but we still need to see some form of release date. I know 2023 was the suggested release date, but will that slip till 2024? It seems like everything's slipping, although I know Insomniac is S-tier damn developer, and they seem to be, you know, you're looking at Miles Morales in 2020, you're looking at Ratchet and Clank in 2021. Their output has been superb. So 2020, not having a game in 2022, having something out for 2023, I think that would be a somewhat reasonable output for Insomniac, just with their level of quality and consistency. But, you know, you're looking at also Wolverine, like, what's going on with that? Will we possibly see similar to how we got it with that last showcase, the last, like, real big showcase, where Spider-Man and Wolverine are announced together? Do we see that again, where we get a release date for Spider-Man and then it rolls straight into a Wolverine trailer with, like, some gameplay where they show us, limb dismemberment, more blood, more gore, and really give us that immediate confirmation? Where my main concern with a new Wolverine game is, are you going to allow this game to be what it needs to be? Like that Ravensoft game developed, what was that? The Wolverine Origins for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. That game was so fucking brutal, and it really felt like God of War, but you're controlling Wolverine and impaling enemies onto spikes and just total blood, gore, and carnage and chaos. And, like, that's what I really want from a Wolverine game. And I would love to see Insomniac drop a reveal trailer and just be like, here it is. Here's the game. It's exactly what you guys were wanting. We're not going to go the T for teen route with Wolverine. We know what you guys want. We're going to deliver it. And, maybe some smaller not open worlds, but maybe smaller open levels where you're cruising around on Wolverine on a motorcycle, and just the potential ties to the X-Men universe, and so much cool shit could be pulled off there. I would really love to see that same type of reveal where we get Spider-Man first and then we go straight into Wolverine again. I think that'd just be a sick kind of, just to continue on with that, just to really show the fucking pedigree of Insomniac. But yeah, like, we're supposed to be getting an update on factions at some point. maybe that I would assume you're going to want to stagger that a little bit, have the Last of Us remake come out, have people spend their $70 on that, then the next year you put out Factions, have people spend another $70 on that. But yeah, I know that they're talking about having more of a story emphasis with Factions 2 or whatever they're going to call it. But yeah, Sony Bend, another team that we really, I know that they talked about having some multiplayer open world style of game that they're looking to develop, taking a lot from the assets and a lot from what they learned on Days Gone and trying to blend that into this maybe more multiplayer style of open world experience. I'm not all that excited for that. I'm heartbroken that we're not going to get a damn Days Gone 2, but still, Sony Bend is definitely a studio we need to get an update on. And that whole live service game model that Sony is pursuing, that's something that we definitely need to see an update on too at some point. So I think that this showcase, I know it's just a rumor right now, but if this doesn't happen very soon, I'm in a weird spot where I'm like not necessarily concerned. I'm in this weird spot where I'm just very, very curious for what the future of PlayStation looks like. We know Ghost of Tsushima 2 is coming down the pipe at some point. We know that there's a lot of things to look forward to, but we don't have like official confirmations for many of these different things. So yeah, I'm more curious than anything. I wouldn't quite say I'm concerned yet, but the more time goes on, the more I guess concerned you just naturally get, where it's like, hey, I spent $500 on that damn PlayStation 5. Are you gonna crank out some stuff for me to play? Which shout out to PlayStation for 2022. They've put out Horizon Forbidden West, one of my favorite games of 2022. I'm sure God of War Ragnarok is going to be phenomenal as well. So it's not like where we're just bleeding and in desperation for games to play on the PS5, but I don't know. I'm really curious about what the future lineup for PlayStation first party is going to be. And this next story we have here is just total insanity. Total insanity. Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold over 170 million copies. I have this Wikipedia list of the top selling games of all time pulled up here. We have Minecraft at number 1 with 238 million in sales, or 238 million copies sold. Grand Theft Auto 5 with it says 169 here, but I'm guessing, it'll update over time to be over 170 million. Tetris with 100 million, Wii Sports with 82 million, PUBG 75, Super Mario Bros 58, Mario Kart 8 55, Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, and Yellow with 47, Red Dead Redemption 2 with 45, and Terraria with 44. And then you got Witcher 3 down at number 14 with 40 million sold. And yeah, it's just crazy. Like, not many single player games in this upper echelons of all-time sales. And even, I look at Red Dead Redemption 2 as a single-player game. I know it has multiplayer functionality, but like Grand Theft Auto 5, I look at that because to me, Grand Theft Auto is just a single-player franchise. Like, I know with San Andreas, it began introducing multiplayer elements, and throughout the years, it's incorporated more and more multiplayer over time. But when I see Grand Theft Auto 5, I look at that on the list and I'm like, oh, that's a single player game that sold 170 million copies. That's great for, my agenda that I want to push out, that single player games are still commercially viable, which obviously you look down here, you see The Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2. And if you scroll a little bit more through the list, you do see that single player games are still commercially viable. But you have to rethink everything, or at least I have to rethink everything that I know about Grand Theft Auto, because for me, yeah, sure, Grand Theft Auto 5, that was just a single player experience. I don't give a shit about the online components, but that Grand Theft Auto 5 is more of an online game, an online multiplayer game, than it is even a single player game. And that's just really crazy to think about. Which it's still great to see that a game that supports single player and supports a legit story mode so heavily is selling so well. But yeah, that's just insane that fucking GTA 5 is up over 170 million copies sold. I'm really curious to see what Rockstar does with Grand Theft Auto 6. And we know that, like, Michael Pachter broke the news that Rockstar was going to be introducing 3 different locations that you can kind of like run drugs through, you know, throughout the Grand Theft Auto 6 campaign, where I believe he said Miami, London, and California. And so, like, and we know that Jason Schreier revealed that they were thinking about launching the game, the base game Grand Theft Auto 6, with, like, say Miami, and then over time introducing a London setting and then introducing a California setting. And I'm so curious as to how they're going to do this, because for one, is it going to be like totally focused around the online parts of Grand Theft Auto? Like, is it going to be totally an online centric, the DLC being nothing but online centric content? And we get the $70 base game the same way we paid for Grand Theft Auto 5, full price at retail, and we get that story, and then pretty much everything from that point on is all focused around giving you DLC and content that is more focused around the online community. And I worry that if they do introduce those 3 different cities or those 3 different locations, however they end up rolling it out, like, I would hate if the drug running or the gun running or whatever they're going to be introducing as like the missions, I would hate that we get that base game, say it's set in Miami, and then everything else is DLC that is only for multiplayer. I really hope that's not what they do. That they have said that they're going to have missions in place for the DLC, but that doesn't necessarily mean single player missions. So I don't know, but if I'm Rockstar, man, I'm looking at the sales of this thing and I'm saying, look, guys, you know, we're giving you the $70 game at launch. We're putting 30 hours of content in that, and then we're giving you Miami, or then we're giving you London, and then we're giving you some, you know, whatever, Los Santos, or however they end up rolling out the different locations. And I'm putting, you know, 15, 20 hours of content in each DLC, charging 20, 30 bucks, and laughing to the bank. I mean, there's... I guess I can just speak for myself. There's no way, if they put 10, 15 hours worth of meaningful content for a single player campaign into those DLCs, there's no possible way I'm turning that shit down. Like, so I'm the problem there. They would absolutely have me just drip feeding them my damn dollar bills. So I guess I'm the only one to blame whenever when we're talking about greedy corporations and shit. I give into it whenever it's something as tantalizing as this possibility. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what Grand Theft Auto, or what Rockstar does with Grand Theft Auto 6 over time, especially when you're accounting for how well Grand Theft Auto 5 sold. And you got to imagine that formula probably isn't going anywhere. All right, so I had another news story that I wanted to ramble about, but nothing too significant. Just going to talk about the Marvel Midnight Suns delay, which is unfortunate, but hey, you kind of got to expect every game to get delayed at least twice at this point. So this would be the second delay for Marvel's Midnight Suns, and yeah, that's only fitting in today's day and age. But not a lot to say there anyway. We rambled enough there with the 3 topics that we went through. So yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'm Brandon Sylvia, and I if you did enjoy the show, if you like this style of unscripted, just fun video game discussion content, news, and all that stuff, then stay tuned here, and we will be discussing a lot more on my channel. And yeah, man, if you guys have any comments or anything like that about any of these topics, make sure to drop them down in the comments below, and I will read through all of them. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next video. See you guys soon. Goodbye.